Over the years, I've posted a lot of videos about some of the cool gadgets, robots, and electronic components that I've built. And in the process, I say the word solder. And because the internet is the internet, I get corrected all the time and made fun of for pronouncing it as solder. So here is a fun lesson as to why different parts of the world pronounce it differently. Specifically, why, let's say, in Ireland and the UK, we pronounce it with the L, and the Americans pronounce it as solder. The original word did sound a bit more like the word solder. It originally came from the French word souder, and it means to fuse two metals together, solder. And of course, we know our history as the Americas were beginning to be colonized, and they continued to use the term solder. However, after some time passed, the English then changed the pronunciation of the word, instead going back to the root of the French word into the Latin word solidare, which directly just means to make something solid. I like this story because usually a lot of the English tends to be warped because as nations split, accents and culture develop separately and they create their own versions. But in reality, what happened was that in the States, they kept the original pronunciation while it was the British English that evolved in this case. And so as a person in Ireland, I say the word solder. I'm not saying it incorrectly. There is absolutely no need to send me death threats over this. How does soldering actually work? If you're into electronic components, you make temporary connections, but eventually if you're going to build an actual robot or something that is a bit more permanent, you're going to have to solder components together. More than likely wires and resistors and such. The basic principle behind it is straightforward. You are melting a metal, making it liquid. It's a sticky substance and it sticks onto other stuff, especially if it's heated, or you give it a little bit of support with some flux. You immediately take the heat away and it solidifies very quickly. Getting that temperature is extremely important. If it's too cold, it won't melt and it won't actually create a good connection at all. If it's too hot, you'll actually damage the components. And in fact, it's usually a balancing point because some components need a really high temperature point while others not so much. And you have to sacrifice some stuff sometimes. The solder material nowadays is mostly tin with some other mixtures. We tend to avoid lead these days because, well, we understand that lead isn't very good for us these days. That being said, with my many years of experience in soldering, lead does solder extremely well. It is a lot more difficult to work with tin. Choosing the material is very important because other than soldering extremely well, it also needs to have a good conductive connection. We call this an intermetallic joint. We want to wet the surface so that when we do melt the tin, the solder material that we're trying to deposit, that it goes smoothly over the material that we wish to solder it to. But sometimes that intermetallic bond is very difficult to make it happen. It first of all depends on the solder material and the material you're trying to connect to, usually tin to copper. One of the most difficult things between those two things is the fact that an oxide layer is created. And that oxide layer is the thing that causes that joint to be weak or not even to make a good connection. To avoid that, we use something called flux. And I seem to have misplaced my one. The idea behind it is usually it's advertised to help you solder, but it doesn't actually say what it does. It's a cleaning agent. It allows that oxide level not to form, and so you can get that intermetallic bond formed really well. This happens as copper 3SN or Cu3SN5. This is a common practice in many fields of science, especially material science. In my own experience during my master research, something that I used to do is I used to study the electrochemical deposition of copper and gold. That's a completely different story. One of the things I needed to do was have a glass cantilever because I wanted something to bend. I deposited gold onto it, and on top of that, I analyzed the copper. However, gold doesn't stick to copper, and so you get titanium so that it can stick to the glass and also stick to the gold. You use it as an intermediate source to make it happen. In battery technologies, a lot of your electrodes immersed in the electrolyte that is used in battery technology isn't going to be nice. We tend to use a graphite sheet, usually placed in between copper and a carbon plate, to get into all those nooks and crannies so they have very good conductive contact. There are a lot of affordable soldering stations. Here is a demonstration of one that I own. I'm not sponsored by this company, it's just the cheapest thing I was able to buy. This is the soldering iron part. This is the tip. This is the very hot part. You can get different types of tips depending on what connection is needed, or more so what kind of wedge you need to get yourself into. You have a temperature control. So at the moment it's set 310 degrees Celsius, but I can decrease down or increase. Additional parts also include crocodile clips to handle different components. Sometimes even a magnifying glass. If you have the budget, they're really handy things to use. I'm just cheap. I think one of the most satisfying things about soldering is when you have a wire embedded into a circular metallic connection and the solder does that effect. It's also important to remember that not only do you want to melt the solder, you also want to heat up the contact as well. Because if it's too cold, it's not going to stick to it. And of course, you can provide flux to it to aid and ensure that there's no oxidation in the process. I hope you enjoy your soldering adventures, and please don't hate me for the way I pronounce the word. Happy soldering!